You were told a lie. It was a lie whispered to you in school, reinforced by your parents, and sold to you by every romantic comedy you have ever watched. The lie was simple. Be good, be agreeable, be harmless, bury your anger, ask for permission. If you are just nice enough, the world will reward you. And more importantly, she will love you. But then you stepped into the real world. You watched as the women you desire walked right past the men who did everything right. You watched them fall into the orbit of men who were arrogant, dangerous, unpredictable, and sometimes outright selfish. You screamed at the sky. You called it unfair. You called it irrational. But what if it isn't? What if the virtues you were taught, meekness, constant availability, unwavering agreeableness, are actually vices in the realm of desire? 500 years ago, a disgraced diplomat in Florence sat down to write a book that would get him banned by the church and cursed by history. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli. We are told his book, The Prince, is a manual for tyrants, a guide on how to conquer nations. But that is a surface-level reading. At its core, The Prince is a psychological autopsy of human nature. It is a treatise on how desire actually works, not how we wish it worked. Machiavelli knew a secret that modern society tries desperately to hide, that power and attraction operate on identical frequencies. The dynamics that govern a kingdom are the same dynamics that govern a relationship. The prince does not beg for power, he embodies it. He does not ask for respect, he commands it through competence. This raises a terrifying question for the modern man. What if the way to a woman's heart isn't through being her servant, but through being her prince? It sounds crazy, it sounds dark, but as we are about to discover, history, psychology, and the brutal reality of human nature suggest that this is exactly what we have been searching for all along. To understand why the nice guy finishes last, we have to look at language. In modern English, the word virtue implies moral goodness. It means being kind, chaste, humble, and essentially safe. It is the morality of the Sunday school. But when Machiavelli wrote The Prince, he used the Italian word virtù, and virtù does not mean goodness. It comes from the Latin word vir, meaning man. Virtù means prowess, it means vitality, it means the capability to impose your will upon the chaos of the world. The modern man has been socialized to have virtue, but he has been stripped of virtù. He is terrified of offending. He is terrified of conflict. He believes that if he is harmless, he is moral. But there is a profound psychological difference between being good and merely being weak. Think about the archetypal nice guy. He agrees with everything she says. He has no opinions of his own because he fears disagreement might cost him intimacy. He is perfectly predictable. He is safe. And to the primal brain of a woman, he is utterly repulsive. Why? Because biologically and psychologically, desire requires tension. If a man is incapable of being dangerous, if he lacks the capacity for aggression, for disagreement, for walking away, then his kindness is not a choice, it is a submission. He is not good because he chooses to be. He is good because he has no other option. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, famously noted that the man who thinks he can live without a shadow, without his capacity for darkness, is not holy, he is naive. And naivety is never attractive.
Women do not desire a man who is nice because he lacks the power to be anything else. They desire the Machiavellian prince, the man who possesses the capacity for danger, the competence to create chaos, but who channels it with discipline and purpose. Machiavelli argued that a ruler who relies on the goodwill of others is doomed. He must rely on his own arms, his own virtù. In the context of relationships, this means reclaiming your agency. It means killing the instinct to plead. A woman feels safe with a man who possesses virtù not because he is harmless, but because he is capable of handling the world. He is a loaded gun with the safety on. The nice guy is a water pistol. Machiavelli teaches us that to be loved, one must first be respected, and you cannot respect that which you can easily control. If you are entirely predictable, if you bend to every wind of her emotion, you become part of the background noise. You cease to be a separate entity. You cease to be a prince. To reignite desire, you must kill the boy who seeks approval and embrace the virtù of the man who commands his own fate. You must become capable of the no, because only the man who can say no has a yes that means anything at all. But strength alone is a blunt instrument. A prince who is merely strong is a brute. To truly master the landscape of desire, one must understand the duality of nature. Machiavelli famously wrote that a prince must be two things, a lion and a fox. The lion represents the capacity for force, the ability to frighten the wolves. In a relationship, the lion is your structural integrity. It is your boundaries. The modern man is often told that love is about dissolving boundaries, about becoming one with his partner. This is a catastrophic error. Without boundaries, there is no shape to the relationship, only a shapeless, suffocating mess. A man who cannot stand up to his partner, who bends to her every whim, a simp in modern parlance, offers no safety. Evolutionary psychology suggests that women look for a partner who can act as a bulwark against the chaos of the world. If you cannot stand up to her, how can you possibly stand up to the world for her? If her emotional storms can knock you over, you are not a harbor, you are just another shipwreck. The lion is the part of you that remains stoic when tested. It is the part of you that says, I will not accept this behavior, regardless of the cost. But the lion is not enough. You must also be the fox. The fox represents the intellect, the cunning, and most importantly, the mystery. Machiavelli advised that a ruler should never be entirely transparent. He should keep his own counsel. Yet modern dating advice tells men to be open books, to pour out their traumas and insecurities on the first date in the name of vulnerability. This is a misunderstanding of intimacy. Total transparency is often just a guise for insecurity. It is a way of asking the woman to carry your emotional baggage because you are too weak to carry it yourself. Machiavelli argued against revealing all one's cards. In a romantic context, this means maintaining a sense of individual existence. You must have a life, a mission, and a mind that is separate from hers. When a man becomes an open book, he becomes boring. There are no more pages to turn. Historical leaders who sought to be loved by the people by pandering to them were often the first to be overthrown. The leaders who maintained a certain distance, a certain aura of unpredictability, were the ones who held power the longest.
If you text back instantly every time, if you over-validate, if you are always available, you are demonstrating that your time has no value. You are demonstrating that you are not a prize to be won, but a product sitting on a shelf begging to be picked up. The Machiavellian fox understands that scarcity creates value. He understands that respect must precede love. As Machiavelli famously said, it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. In romance, we translate fear not as terror, but as a profound respect for your capacity to leave, for your capacity to be fine without her. That is the fox, and without the fox, the lion is just a target. Now we arrive at the most difficult and controversial aspect of Machiavelli's philosophy. It is a line that has been scrutinized, attacked, and misunderstood for centuries. He wrote, "Fortune is a woman, and if you wish to keep her under, it is necessary to beat and ill-use her." Hearing this with modern ears, it sounds like an endorsement of abuse, but we must look deeper. We must look at what Machiavelli meant by fortune. To the Renaissance mind, fortuna was the embodiment of chaos, luck, and the unpredictable nature of the world. She was the storm that sinks the ship. She was the drought that kills the crop. Machiavelli's argument was not about domestic violence. It was about the philosophical stance of order against chaos. He was arguing that you cannot beg chaos to be kind to you. You cannot plead with the storm. You must seize it. You must impose your structure upon it with boldness. When we translate this metaphor to the psychology of attraction, we see a profound truth. Women, in the context of evolutionary biology, often act as the selectors, the gatekeepers of nature. They respond to the man who can confront chaos, not the man who is consumed by it. There is a deep, unspoken desire in the feminine for the masculine to take the helm. Consider the burden of leadership. Modern society tells men that they should ask for permission for everything. Where do you want to eat? What do you want to do? Is it okay if I kiss you? We think we are being polite, but often we are simply outsourcing the cognitive load. We are forcing the woman to be the leader. We are forcing her to make the decisions, to take the risks, to be the captain. This is exhausting. It kills desire. The Machiavellian treatment is not about oppression. It is the gift of leadership. It is the willingness to say, we are going here. I have a plan. Follow me. It is the willingness to take the risk of being wrong so she doesn't have to. When Machiavelli says to treat fortune with boldness, he is saying that passivity is the enemy of success. The world yields to the man who moves with conviction. A woman yields to the man who moves with conviction. This is not about forcing your will upon her. It is about providing a structure so strong that she feels safe enough to let go. Many women today are hyper-successful, managing careers, finances, and high-pressure lives. When they come home, the last thing they want is to manage a man. They want to be relieved of the burden of the executive function. They crave a prince who knows where the ship is sailing, so they can finally rest. This is the beating of fortune, not violence, but the aggressive competence required to create order out of chaos. However, there is a trap here, a dangerous one. In an attempt to reclaim this power, many men fall into a caricature of Machiavellianism. We see this in the rise of the red pill, the pickup artist communities, and the online gurus teaching men to be alphas.
These men read Machiavelli and they see only the tyranny. They confuse bullying with strength. They confuse manipulation with seduction. They believe that by neglecting a woman, by insulting her, negging her, or by acting cold and distant, they are being powerful. They are wrong. A true Machiavellian prince acts out of supreme confidence. The modern toxic male acts out of deep, crippling insecurity. The pretender uses abuse to lower a woman's self-esteem so she won't leave him. He traps her because he fears he is not enough. The sovereign man raises his own value through competence so that she chooses to stay. The difference is subtle, but it is the difference between a tyrant and a king. Machiavelli was, above all, a pragmatist. His ultimate goal was the stability of the state. He did not advocate cruelty for cruelty's sake. He advocated for effectiveness. Being an abusive partner is not effective. It leads to resentment. It leads to rebellion. In a relationship, this means breakups, divorces, and a reputation in ruins. That is not a victory. That is a failure of statecraft. The red pill often teaches men to play avoidant games, to ignore texts, to feign indifference. Psychologically, this appeals to women with anxious attachment styles, creating a toxic cycle of chase and withdrawal. It works temporarily, but it builds a kingdom on sand. A true Machiavellian understands that the most powerful position is not avoidance, but secure leadership. It is the man who is not afraid of intimacy, but who is not consumed by it. He provides the frame. He sets the standard. He does not need to play games because his reality is compelling enough on its own.
He treats the relationship like a garden. He weeds it ruthlessly, but he also waters it. The pretender only knows how to burn the crops. So where does this leave us? We began with the nice guy standing in the rain, confused and alone. We traveled through the brutal realism of 16th century politics, dissected the psychology of the lion and the fox, and confronted the chaos of fortune. The conclusion is clear. Treating a woman like Machiavelli does not mean treating her like an enemy. It means treating the relationship like a kingdom that requires a strong king. It means killing the boy inside you, the boy who needs a mother's approval, the boy who is afraid of making a mistake, the boy who thinks that if he is just good enough, he will be saved. You must give birth to the man who seeks a queen's respect, not her permission. This path is not easy. The nice guy path is easy. It requires nothing but submission. The Machiavellian path requires the pain of discipline. It requires you to build a body that commands respect, a mind that creates wealth and value, and a spirit that can endure rejection without shattering. It requires you to take the helm of the ship, knowing that the storms will come, and knowing that it is entirely your responsibility to navigate them. But it is the only path that leads to genuine desire. Because at the end of the day, she does not want a fan. She has thousands of fans. She wants a peer. She wants a partner who is her equal in power, her superior in emotional stability, and her leader in the face of the unknown. Stop asking, "What does she want me to do?" That is the question of a servant. Start asking, "Who must I become to be worthy of power?" That is the question of a prince. The world is not kind to the harmless. It is not kind to the hesitant. Fortune is a woman, and she is waiting for the man who has the courage to command her. The only question remaining is, do you have the virtue to be him? For the rest, I am entirely yours or entirely mine.